All right, bro. We live. So, a few people can see if I can see it on my end real quick. Yep. And we ain't even gonna wait. We ain't even gonna wait for too many people to get in here. Like I said, they're gonna be able to see it on the replay anyway. Um, but yeah, man. First and foremost, bro, I just wanted to say appreciate you for joining me today to have this conversation. Like I was telling you off air, offline, I made a video a few days ago just talking about leadership and going from driver to manager. And so that's why I kind of want to have this conversation with you today, since we both have experience as managers. I just thought it would be helpful to some people out there that may be looking at it and, they want to do the same thing, right? Go into a leadership role from driver to manager. So I wanted to have this conversation, man, and just kind of share from our own experiences what we went through starting out as a driver to a manager and things of that nature. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today. So before we even get started, bro, gotta introduce yourself. Just tell the people who you are, a little bit about your background, because that's actually going to tie into this whole conversation, and then we'll go from there. Good morning, Christine. How you doing? She say good morning, Jermaine, too. You see the comments on your end?
Nah, cause I'm just on stream, y'all. I'm on actually YouTube.
Okay. She say good morning, Anthony and Jermaine.
Good morning. How you doing? Hey man, thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure to support one of my best friends of all time. Good to be here. My name is Jermaine Green. Currently, I'm a route driver myself. Also an entrepreneur. Um, I've been in the leadership roles now with 18 plus years. I started off as well, I guess we had to go back to the beginning
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
time.
Go back. Yeah, go back to how you started from a driver and then kind of work your way up. And I ask you some more questions a little bit later. But yeah, talk about how you first got into it as a driver.
Okay, well, go a little bit deep about me. First of all, I went to South Alabama, went to Florida State, got my degrees. When I got done with school, I wanted to do some work in computers, but I quickly found out that I wasn't interested in that. I just did it because that's what the world was telling me everything was migrating to. So then I got a call from my buddy here, Anthony. Hey man, we hiring. Uh, so I went and did the interview and everything. And initially, they told me they wasn't hiring. And then another friend of ours decided to do something crazy, and that's how I ended up getting the job.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I talked to them Thursday. I was working Sunday, so God working mysterious ways. So I started off as a route driver, and I'm not gonna lie. For the first time in my life, that was the first time I was gonna quit the job. I've never thought about quitting in my life, no other job. But that day, it was something different for me. I wasn't expecting that. The working overnight and doing what I did. But I learned real quick, like, I love challenges. And so I did the route driving for, I'm going to say about 3 to 4 years before moving up into management. Am I going too fast?
Nah, you good?
But all right, but anyway, but before leading up to that, let me tell you about my journey as a uh, route guy that actually led up into the leadership role. So initially, when I first started, I was just trying to find my way in what route sales was, because initially, what we used to do, we didn't actually sell to customers, right? We were just making deliveries. So in my mind, I was always wondering, like, well, if I don't see the customers, how am I going to make sales to them so I can grow my route to be better? So I never could figure that out because, at the time, my leadership team wasn't really explaining that and telling us how to grow what we were doing, right? So this in particular day, I go in one of the stores I was delivering to, and I realized my display was moved into a different area, but it was completely empty. And I was like, this is different because this is a store that I had that never sold no product, right?
Right.
So, all right, then I realized weeks later, I went back in the store, same thing. And I'm like, wow, from this area to this area is completely selling out. Why? So unknowingly, just, failing forward, I went and talked to the manager. I said, hey, I notice every time I come in the store and my displays over here is sold out. And I'm not sure why. I said, can I try leaving it here? And the manager said yes. Then I noticed what? Every time I went in the store, it was sold out. So I was like, well, what if I try this in all my stores? And I noticed that my route went from making 3,000 to 7,000 in less than 2 months time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it kept growing. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can do this here, what can I do in the front? And from there, it was history. So,
Now,
so I was always
let me interject real quick. Now,
okay.
by saying that, you got to explain kind of how we got paid as drivers commission, right? We got like 10% commission off total sales for the week. So that kind of goes into what you were saying about displaying and stuff like that. Because as that we're working for Krispy Kreme, that's the company we work for. We
Okay,
got
I know.
we got paid commission, right? We got paid 10% of the total sales. So getting good display placement was very important in the line of work where we was at. So ideally, you want to get your display placed up front of the store because when a customer walk into a store, we want to be the first product they see. So if you
Mhm.
can get a display move, say from the back to the front or something like that, that's kind of what you want to do. And so I just kind of wanted to add that in when you said about display being moved and stuff like that. Which
Okay.
I know you saying all this because that's really one of the main reasons you got promoted from a driver to a manager
Yeah.
because of how well you were able to do certain things and grow your route and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that. But you
Yeah,
can go
and
ahead.
great point. So initially, the way at that time when we first started, the way it was set out was 500 week guaranteed plus 11% around that time before they changed it to 10%, right? So that goes back to what he was saying. So the object is to make money, but realistically, up until that point, I've never made that type of money. So I was actually you get into this complacent area because like, hey, this is double what I was making over here anyway. So you can get comfortable with just that because I was doing good, right? For my age at that time. And so, like I said, I started realizing them chicks was going 800, 900, 1200. I'm like, I'm gonna move all of these to the front. So, and I, so I started doing that, but it felt good too because not only was I making more money, I wasn't working hard because I wasn't picking up anything. It was all selling out, right? And just like I say, working my way up to it, I realized like at the time my boss used to always ask me to work extra days because somebody may call off or something happened. I didn't mind doing it. Or can I go help somebody else finish a route? Sometimes they got stuck out there. I didn't mind. I didn't mind doing that. So what kind of shifted for me? Because at first, before like I'm going a little too far, but before I got to that level of making more money on the routes, I'm gonna be honest. Just as an employee, we all can get into these places where you don't know if your leadership team acknowledge or know how hard you're working because they don't always get to go see what you're doing because they a little tied up. So sometimes you'll be a little. I was never disgruntled, but sometimes you'd be disgruntled and upset. Like, man,
What's up,
I'm
Dirty Bro?
working, huh?
I was just giving a shout out to Dirty Bro. What's up, Dirty Bro?
Okay,
Go ahead.
yeah. So sometimes you feel like you're working hard, but you don't think nobody notices it. So you kind of get frustrated. So I found myself going to in some of those places because I realized as I was building my route, they were still in control of my route, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing product out there. I'm like, it's not selling over here. Why do you keep putting it? So you remember we used to have those store where every day you go in there, you got 40, 30, 20. You like, dude,
Right.
I ain't never sold more eight in here. Why you keep doing it? So
Yeah.
you start just so you get a little frustrated. And so one day I went to church and my uncle preached. He was like, man, no matter what position they give you, whether you're a janitor, whatever position they give you, you flipping birds, whatever you're doing, be the best at what you do because you never know who's watching you.
Right.
Right. And that spoke to me because I instantly shifted how I was looking at things and from taking it personal to, hey, I'm just gonna be the best at what I do. Like I know what I do when I show up every day. I'm gonna be great at it. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was cleaning more, really like just interacting with all my managers, customers. I just got it just totally shifted. And one day at the time, it was our head manager regional was Judy,
Right.
and she came down to the our area, and she was like, "Who's over these routes?" Because every time I go in there, they always speak so highly of this driver, and it's always clean and always taken care of. So she kind of pulled me to the side one day and was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about taking the leadership role?" And I was like, honestly, no. I said, because I never thought I'd be good enough. They never mentioned anything to me. And she's like, oh, we'll talk about that later. 6 months later, she came back and offered me a full-time position as the route supervisor. And that's where it all started for me
Mm-hmm.
in the leadership role.
Yeah. And like you said, it was all because of how well you kept your route up and then how efficient you was. And, really taking ownership of your route, interacting with the customers, all that type of thing. And you said something that's very important. You never know who's watching. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think about that even with doing my YouTube channel, right? You
Yeah.
never know who may come across your content. So I'm always conscious of that. You just never know, man. So I know you was, and so was I. We was like the ultimate professionals out there. You know what I mean? When we were out in our route, we looked the part. And you always know it used to be funny when I used to come in. I could wear a white shirt, and I'm probably the only one that didn't have a stain on my shirt, bro. Like
Yep.
we took it serious, and the manager used to clown about it. He used to make jokes about it, like, "Hey, how can you run the whole route the whole day and not have a spot on your shirt, right?"
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? Is that true or
Hey,
not? 100%.
hey, it was perfect. Yep.
Hey, but
Hey,
we
it
kind
was
of took we
crispy
kind of
every
took
day.
yeah, we
Yep.
took pride in our work. We took pride in our appearance and the way we did our job, and ultimately it paid off for us, right? We
Absolutely.
all we all we ended up getting to that goal of management. Now you kind of told your story a little bit, but I'm gonna kind of tell mine a little bit too.
Yep.
You're right. I did help you get on, right? I
Yep.
was the one kind of plugged you in, but Wesley, R.I.P. to my homeboy Wesley, he got me on, and so I spent 15 years at the company, and I've said this in previous videos. 10 of those years I spent as a route delivery driver, and then the other 5, I spent in management. So I spent 2 years as a supervisor, and then 3 years as a sales manager. Both management roles, but a sales manager for us was the high level, right under a district manager. But for me going in, man, and we used to have this conversation a lot as a driver, when I used to get done with my route, especially early on when I started, and I used to come back to the shop and I used to see Danny Owens sitting in the office behind a computer. Or then later on, we had Dunn come in, we get off our route working hard, and we see Dunn sitting behind a computer, not doing nothing, like he just having the ball. I'm like, bro, I got to get where he's at. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be in this truck making deliveries and working this hard and I see my manager over here, he like this right here. Every time you walk in, like I'm like, bro, he got it made. So for me, when I seen, I'm like, I got to get to where he's at. I got to get out of this truck. And so for me, that was my motivation to like say, okay, I want to be a manager. I need to do whatever I need to do to get into that position. So that was
Yeah.
kind of my motivation to get there. And on top of, the money as well, we was salaried as managers, and we got away from getting paid, our commission, right? Even though
Yeah.
it was 100%, when you salary, it doesn't matter how many hours you work, you're gonna get the same paycheck every week, no matter what. You know what I mean? You could work a
Yeah.
lot of hours, but you may even work we was blessed to be able to have our own schedules, right? We came in and left when we wanted to, and we're gonna
Yeah.
get into that a little bit later too, because I want to talk about some of the pros and cons to manager. But what made you want to be a manager from a driver? Like, what was your motivation behind it?
Well, I had to make one change. I never liked the word manager. I always liked the word leader because I felt like a lot of times we work for managers. And and to me, I look at a manager as a person who don't know their employees personally. They don't really see what makes them go, what's their goals in the company, or just what their goals in life, the different things they wanted. So what kind of made me want to go up? First of all, 'cause we had to look at the steps you and I took to get there though. Because you remember those the first time we actually, I don't want to say made it big, but we made it big when you come in and look at those routes and be like, dude, you go from 200 dozen for the week to 1,000 in one day, right?
Yeah.
So we were walking there like,
But we looked at it like dollar signs because we know that was gonna be a big check for us, and we got
absolutely.
paid weekly. And people would be surprised how much we was making as route drivers back then when we, especially if you had a beach route, we making good money, and we was young.
Yeah,
We
we
was
doing
in our
15,
20s.
1,500 a week,
Yeah,
$2,000 a week back then.
exactly.
So, and that was the funny part. We used to walk into the warehouse and like, bruh, you saw these right here? But me and you used to compete, and that was kind of one of those things that too that helped me want to move up into man. Because sometimes it's a competitive spirit. Like
Yeah,
hey, I could generate the most money, and me and Anthony used to go back and forth every week. Hey, bro, I got 18,000. I got 22. You know what I'm saying? Every week it was different, but it helped. And we always been like that since we was younger. So,
yeah,
but what made me want to go into the leadership role was I was like, man, kind of like I was felt before I moved up. I like nobody ever asked me how my day was going. When I was giving feedback, nobody was listening. They was just throwing stuff out there because they knew we was gonna do the right thing, right?
hmm,
So I said, man, if I ever got a chance to get into the leadership role, I wouldn't do my employees like that. That was my first thing. Um, then initially, it's let's be honest, it's about the money first. Like most people that take any leadership role, it's money first. But once you get there, you look at it from a totally different perspective. You know what I'm saying? The money is just part of it, but it really challenges you on all levels when you get to a leadership role. That's the
absolutely.
part I think people don't see in the misconceptions of it. Like you were saying earlier, when you see your leader or manager, whatever you want to call them, sitting on a computer when you get there, you don't know what went on the night before, that day before you got in, though. And that's
Yeah,
the part I think that a lot of people that's under leadership don't see.
exactly. And not only that,
Mhm.
like they don't see the behind the scenes of a manager. They don't see the responsibilities. All they see from a driver standpoint or just somebody that's under leadership, they just see this person sitting in the office all day. That's all he's doing. And from a driver level, we hear that, you know what I mean, from
Yeah,
coworkers. We heard that when we was drivers, even now, you know what I mean? That from a driver to a manager, you hear those type of things said by people that's under leadership, like, oh,
yeah,
managers don't do nothing. Managers don't do nothing. You know what I mean? But we know who the first person that's gonna get a phone call when something go on out there, and who
yeah,
the finger gonna be pointed at. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
and I'm gonna let you get started. I just kind of wanted to
yeah,
add
yeah.
that in and
No, that
kind of
that was big. So
talk
I'll
about the
say that,
responsibilities.
yeah. So for me, I'll go to the pros. Well, you want to go to the bad side or the pros first?
Yeah, we can talk about the pros first. Some of the
Mm.
pros.
The pros is it's the money. I mean, that's one of the top things out there. There's also another misconception that people under
Somebody gonna tell you the drivers make more than the managers though. What's your
yeah.
rebuttal? What's your rebuttal to that?
Once again, depends on how you look at it, right? So, all right. So pay as well. So we can look at this from different perspectives. All right. So a driver could possibly make more from a weekly standpoint, but when you factor in bonuses, um, maybe hours work, different stuff like the numbers look different. You know what I'm saying? And the benefits and the perks that come with being in a leadership role, as far as like like just discounts at vacations, depending on what you do. I mean, that's different. But The money aspect, bonuses. Like you said, we get to control our own schedule. As long as you got the right team, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not as extreme in the headache. So it all depends on what you look at. And then,
Looks good on
you
your
know,
resume too.
yeah, so it's weeks that your people can make more than you. Yeah. And then for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt like this. If my employees was making more than me, that mean that bonus was gonna be very nice.
Right.
That's how I looked at it. So as long as Anthony was making more than me or Jonathan, whoever, that was good for me because that was my whole point of moving up as a leader to change the culture and teach people that they can make money as well. So I was never in it just for myself. So I always knew in the back of my head, if Anthony came back or anybody came back bragging to me how much money they was making, I already knew for the quarter that bonus was gonna look nice. So
Right.
that was my thing. So the money side of it, um, another important part is now that you sit in that chair, you get to create the culture that you always wanted for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or since you did it personally, you know what was missing, as far as like one-on-ones or how to grow the sales or because you did it yourself. So
Yeah.
there's a certain respect level there. What
Yeah.
else? Some of the perks.
Just to touch just to touch on that real quick. I think that's a very important part. How do you feel about a manager basically skipping the driver process first and going straight into leadership? Or do you think it's better for a driver, somebody that has that driving experience, and then going into management? Because maybe as a manager at that point, you've been a driver, so you can relate to your drivers more. Like, what's your thoughts on that right there? Do you feel like, okay, it's cool for somebody just to come hired in off the street or whatever? Maybe they have the education or something like that, and they go straight into a management role versus somebody who kind of worked their way up from a driver to a manager. Like, what's your thoughts on that? You
That's
think?
a tough one. Because I've been on both sides. So me personally, I say you always start in-house first. Just a respect level
I,
because go ahead.
I agree.
Yeah. I always say in-house because those are people that's been in the trenches with you. They done seen the good and the bad. And why go for outside help when there's somebody on the inside who can tell you what they see every day? Because a lot of time people on the outside that comes in, you are only looking at numbers and you only looking at problems, right? But you're not looking at people. It's almost like a teacher. Like how it was in school. You got that one student that just always excelled no matter what they did, and you had a struggling student, but nobody talked to the struggling student to see what was going on.
Right.
Maybe you were just boring. I don't know. So they didn't know how to learn from you. So, and I think that's what happens when you get outside people. They just look at numbers and go off what was said versus, hey, if you know what it's like to deliver when it's freezing cold outside or it's raining, heavy traffic, all the stuff that comes with it, then you know how to articulate to your employees how to get stuff done. But if you ain't never did that, nobody's gonna respect your opinion as much
Mm,
because you didn't do it, so you don't know.
right.
So
Yeah.
that I'm always say in-house first. I just think it's fair because you're comparing the work to numbers. What are you going off of to make that decision, right?
Yeah.
So So, now if you bring someone outside in and they willing to go jump on those routes with you and learn how to do it to understand what you go through, then I can see the benefits of that too. Because some people on the outside have a different eye. Because I'm gonna tell you the pros of an outside person. They didn't deal with Anthony personally.
True. So there's
So they
no
don't have
bias. There's no bias in that.
no bias. So they
Yeah.
don't have to feel no type of way about getting order and putting stuff in the place that need to be done. But if Anthony, my best friend, like it's kind of hard to be like, hey, bro, I'm going to let you go if you don't do this right. You see what I'm saying? So it's a tough place to be in because when you worked alongside with people for so many years and you become their boss, a lot of people don't like that,
Mm-hmm.
or they still look at you from a friend standpoint that versus the leader, like, hey, man, we got to do this and blah blah blah. So they may start doing stuff the wrong way. So it's pros and cons to both.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of your pros, and I agree with what you stated. I think for me, a pro would definitely be the experience factor, right?
Most definitely.
Just getting that experience as a manager, and kind of getting out of your comfort zone and really broadening your skills. That right there was definitely, I would say, a pro, the experience. And then another one for me would be the relationship building. We had the opportunity to really meet a lot of people during our
Hmm.
time at Krispy Kreme, from all walks of life,
Yeah.
different locations. You know what I mean? We built a lot of good relationships during that time. And not only that, we both managed two different shops. We
Yeah.
both started out managing a shop here locally in town where we live. And then, you moved to Jacksonville, took over
Hmm.
a shop in Jacksonville. You left Jacksonville, went to another shop, took over another shop in Atlanta. So you actually, you moved three times. I
Yeah.
I moved twice. But I was able to build relationships when I left here and I went to Mississippi for 2 years, and then was blessed to be able to come back home and take over the shop here too.
Yeah.
It's just, the relationship building was very important to me. So I would say that that's a pro. And obviously the money was good, and just having the freedom to be able to pretty much do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Especially after we got our work done. We made sure everything was taken care of in house, um, over our respective shops. As long as that was done, we was out, right? We
Yeah.
had people at the shop. You had multiple assistant managers in Atlanta. Me, I only had one, and it was even, I didn't have any when I was in Mississippi. It was just me, because
Well,
I
I
think, if I'm
started
not
off with
mistaken,
one though.
you had to have at least 10 routes, I believe, minimum, for you to have an assistant. And I only had in Mississippi like 5 or 6 routes or something like that. And so it was just me. So anytime I had a call in, guess who was running the route? Me.
Yeah.
And that's something else I want to get into when we talk about the responsibilities. Um, for people that think, let's just say you're a driver right now, and you have the idea like, okay, I want to be a manager because I want to get off the truck. I'm tired of running routes. I don't want to run routes no more. So I want to get into management. Let's talk about how big of a misconception that is, as far as you not running routes anymore. That's still going to be a part of your job, unfortunately. Like that's something that's a reality,
Yeah.
as a manager. Even right now, my ATM is just him at our yard. So if it's a call in, guess who got to run the route? He do. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like you probably never really 100% get out of the truck, but that comes with the territory. That's
Yeah.
that's just one of those things to where you got to know what you're signing up for. So for me, and we'll talk about the advice and stuff like that a little bit later on. Kind of what kind of advice I would give to a driver that's wanting to get into management. We'll get on that. But
Yeah.
just to talk about the pros though, yeah, those were definitely some of the pros for me. I definitely agree with some of the ones that you talked about. So now let's go ahead and move into some of the cons. And I'll start. I'll start right with some of the cons of being in management. Right, you know, I think one of the cons for sure is being in management could definitely be a stressful job. It can be very stressful at times. Being in management, you putting out fires every day almost. And
Yeah.
when I say putting out fires, I'm not talking about literally. For those that don't know, it's just a phrase. But you dealing with issues out there in the market, from customers because of something that your employees did, right? We gonna get those phone calls from customers. You gonna get emails. Hey, your driver did this. All times of the night. I had a customer call me at 3 o'clock in the morning one time, like, "Hey, your driver has attitude, blah 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 blah." So, you know, those type of things come with being in management. So, um, when you want to step into those leadership roles, you definitely have to know what you're getting yourself into, like every aspect. Like it's not all sweet. You're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days, but some of the cons, I would say, like I said, definitely it could be a stressful job. So you got to know that. I think Number two would be, I would say, staff. You definitely gotta make sure that when you going through your interview process, that you're not hiring the wrong fit for you. Because during the hiring process, if you hire the wrong person, you gonna feel it. You gonna feel it. Like, listen to those, or pay attention to the red flags, I would say, early on. Because during that interview process, during the hiring process, I know when it comes to what we do as delivery drivers, we know the turnover rate is high. So a lot of times we just kind of try to hire to fill seats rather than really hiring the right fit for that job, because it's like, if you don't get this seat filled, you gonna be the one filling that seat if you don't get the people in there. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, and I know you've done it, I've done it, I'm guilty of it as a manager. Like, look, man, I gotta fill this seat, man. I gotta get somebody in there. And you knew, like, maybe this person really isn't the right one that I want, but he's the
Yeah,
right person right now to fill the seat.
I need
But
about
it end
two.
up, but what it does, it backfires on you. You know what I'm saying? Because now this person becomes an issue, and
Yeah,
so you can't hire off impulse. Like, when you're a manager, you really gotta do your due diligence, and you really gotta hire people who you presume to be somebody that can actually do the job, and it's gonna be a good fit for you. So
yeah.
so yeah, man. What do you think some of the cons for you as manager?
I don't even know we got that much time, but
Just a couple of
um,
them.
yeah. One I would say, like you just said, I use it this way. I have to explain why Anthony made a dumb decision in one of these stores. You know, when you move to the leadership role, if your employees do something crazy, you're the face of that shop. So you got to explain why they did it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Also being misunderstood, meaning, let's say Anthony get in an accident. I got to care for Anthony as my employee, but also got to keep the interests of the company at hand too. Make sure the right stuff is done, that we don't get sued or um, other stuff. So now my employee may think I don't care about them, but I got two faces I got to rock right now to make sure the company's good and my employee good. So sometimes that may be interpreted that you don't care about them because you asking all the other questions, right? And you want to make sure you're the right thing to do. Three, another challenging part about being a leadership role, you got leaders.
Yeah.
And you got numbers and everything that you got to answer to. So it may be stuff coming down that you got to present to your employee that you know ain't good, but you can't tell your leadership that it ain't gonna work or it's not that. So now it may cause a culture shift in your department now.
That job. Yeah.
Yeah, so people may like how stuff was ran, but now you got to do some stuff differently. So now it's a shift there. So that makes things uncomfortable for a little bit. Another part, like, depends on what you do and how good your shop is ran, but go back to like the employee standpoint. If you're on vacation, you're not on vacation. You still
Nah.
answer emails.
Mm.
Um, you still got to put out fires, even when you with your family doing your own
Yeah.
stuff.
24
So
24/7. They have to have access to you 24/7. That and
yeah,
that could be a con for sure. That could
yeah.
be a con.
And like Anthony said earlier, if you short staff or you got the wrong person on your team that's known for calling off, they don't take your life in consideration. Meaning, you may have got off at 7 or 6, went home and had time with your family. You probably laid in the bed at 10 o'clock. Now you calling off at 11 o'clock. I got to go jump on your route at 1 and
Yeah.
go do your route. So these are things that people don't see. And like when they see you on a computer, they're not seeing that, hey, I'm putting the right product in these stores so we can keep going so you can continue to get your check, right? They just see you sitting there. So they looking at the physical side of things, not the mental that you go with every day. That you don't, every day you stress out because you don't know who's going to show up. You hope nobody have a wreck. Your numbers are high or low, depends on what's going on. And the biggest one for me, my challenge was all sides don't fit all. And what I mean by it is You want to create a culture for everybody that's happy to come to work and do the job. But what works for Anthony doesn't work for Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're trying to figure out how to keep your people happy, but it's impossible under the policy and guidelines of everything.
Yeah.
So now it may appear that you are messing with one person more than the other, but Anthony had no problem with following the rules and just going along with stuff how it need to be done. Tono here don't like it, so you're gonna cause a problem. So now he's gonna feel like I'm always on top of him, but I'm not. It's just, hey, bro, these are policy. It ain't mine.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
because back then we go something as simple as we can wear facial hair,
Right.
right?
And you're gonna have some drivers that come in, they start trying to grow their facial hair and beard and stuff, and we have to enforce the policies. It's like, bro, we have people that we have to answer to as well. Y'all have to
Yeah,
answer to us on the shop level, but we
yeah,
have managers as well who we have to answer to. And if they walk in right now, which we have had that happen before, right? We've had our
yeah,
district managers come down, didn't say nothing, they done flew in, they come in the door, and now you got a guy that come in and you see that he done got some facial hair, and you're like, bro, come on, man.
yeah.
You gotta
And
cut your
so
hair. Like,
and what
cut
it
your
look
hair, like.
and what it looks like to your leadership team is you can't
Appreciate the
run your
super
business.
chat. Appreciate the
Oh,
super chat, J Dog. I appreciate that, man.
yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
And so what it looks like to them, you can't run your business.
Right.
So now they on you. And see, now you upset because it's like, hey man, I
Yeah.
gave you the warning and
Especially when it's like now you can't really do nothing about the pop-ups. Although I would say your team, your staff should already be following company policy anyway, right? It's really you really shouldn't have to remind you, oh, okay, my manager's gonna be flying in tomorrow. Y'all need to make sure this and that and that. Even though, we used to do that just to, if we went out on the market, checked out some of the accounts and stuff like that, we want them to be looking good. So yeah, we're gonna tell you this stuff, but sometimes they can just pop up on you. And the employees should already be following the company policy anyway.
yeah,
Even though we know sometimes some people like to, you know, not kind of go against what the policies are. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But yeah, all those what you just mentioned was definitely good pros and cons. Um, right now, where you at in your career, could you see yourself going back to a leadership role?
Well, currently I am in one. But what I do, yes, I'm one of those people. I'd never turn. Well, let me rephrase that. I was about to say I never turn down opportunities, but I did turn one down recently. I would always go back into leadership roles because I mean that's where I thrive at. I think. I have a different mindset from most people. I mean, I'm for the people, so I want everybody to win, and I feel like if I'm the person in position to show them how to do that, I'll take that weight on. You know, so for me, being in a leadership role has helped me tremendously transfer into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like I got those bases out the way, so it has helped me drastically. So I would always tell people if you have an opportunity to move up, always take it. Even if you don't feel like you're ready, always take it because you never know what doors that open up for you and just
exactly,
the
exactly.
capacity that it can take you to. So I
Right.
don't I don't pass down those opportunities. Now, if you in a bad organization, that's different.
Mm.
But even then, that would be your opportunity to change it, right?
Yeah,
So what about you? My personal opinion, I would never turn down leadership roles. Me,
yeah,
I wouldn't.
yeah. So I mentioned this in the video I just posted over the weekend. As far as me getting in leadership right now in food service delivery, I'm kind of straight on that right now. You know what I mean? Like, cause I like being able to do my job, do my route, go home, not have to worry about the responsibilities of a manager right now because you and I, we know what that's all about.
Yeah,
So for me personally, like right now, I'm good. But that could change in the future. But at this moment, I'm good on it. Like I said, I love being able to just get my work done and I'm done for the day. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I don't have to worry about my DM calling me, you know what I mean? Asking me this, asking me that. Oh, can you get this sent in, email this, email that, check out this report. You know how it
yeah,
goes. You know what I mean? The whole 9 yards. So for me, I'm personally good on it. However, with that being said, I would never. I feel like you, especially like if you're a driver and maybe you just curious and you know you really want to get into a leadership role. Like I had somebody make a comment on that video a couple of days ago, and they was like, "Man, that's what I want to do." This person said he's in college right now, um, trying to get his bachelor's in business management, and he said he wanted to get into management. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so he asked a question like, man, do you think it'd be good for me to be a driver first? You know, well, would that help me being a driver first and then going into management, or does it make a difference, or whatever the case may be? And you know, my personal 2 cents was I think it definitely would benefit you if you was to be a driver first, just to understand what it's like being a driver and before you just go straight into management. But you know, it could be a case by case basis. That may not be the case for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you said, you can actually go into it and then maybe do some ride alongs or something like that with a manager to get a feel for how the job is. So it's probably like a case by case basis. It may not
Yeah.
be like a mandatory thing for you to be a driver first. You could definitely succeed without taking that step and just going straight into manager. I do believe that. But you know, that's just my standpoint. But you know, overall, man, when it comes to you know, a driver wanting to be into management, I I salute it, and I take my hat off to anybody that's ambitious, like I said in this video. Like I just feel like some people really have drive, and some people just want to be better, and they want to continue to level up and elevate and evolve in their respective careers. And I love that, man. So I'm never gonna be that guy to say like, man, nah, you shouldn't do that because of this right here, especially if I hadn't experienced it for myself. And that goes on a lot with people that haven't been in management before. I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of times they'll throw this stuff out here and not even having no experience themselves, but they'll put that negativity out there. And I feel like, man, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you haven't experienced yourself, I feel like,
Yeah.
you know, if you somebody that want to get into leadership, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Just understand what you're getting yourself into. Have that conversation with whoever your managers is now. Get a feel for it. Pick their brain as to what you can expect as a manager. That's doing your due diligence on that particular role. I think that's important before you just dive into it. You know what I'm saying? And like when you said that you all about taking those type of opportunities, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I feel like for me, when I was like super hungry trying to get into management, you know, I did the same thing. I relocated, went to a state that I have no relatives living in. I don't know nobody in Mississippi and that like that. But for me, it was a great opportunity for me to really grow and get that experience as a manager, right? So I
Yeah.
was willing to relocate, take over this shop in this place that I've never been before. But I looked at it like this is going to be a great career move for me if I take this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And it
Well,
was.
let me throw something in there too. So I'm coming from a place of what you were saying earlier. If you have never had this experience before, right? I never passed down opportunities.
Right, right,
But
right. Yeah.
I go a step further though, because leadership not always meaning you have to be over people. See, I gotta throw that out there because I think that's also a misconception because you can be a leader for the people that's next to you every day. You hear the things that they complain about and have issues with, but they feel like they don't have a relationship with their management. You can be the person to go to management and be like, hey, just talking to some of the guys, these are some of the things that we deal with, right? And we want to know, can we change some stuff, or here's just our input on what we deal with every day. That's a form of leadership right there
Mm-hmm.
because you are implementing change, right? And you letting them know what's going on, right? So it don't always have to be in a management position.
Right.
So and I think a lot of times people pass that up because what's the terms I hear now? No, they don't want to feel like they telling on people or
Yeah. Like
feel like
snitch
they,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, like some people they call it sucking up and all the other crap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's true.
and those are
You know, it's funny you say that. Somebody had made a comment and it was like, to that person that I was just talking about. He was like, man, you know, I'm in college trying to get my
yeah,
bachelor's in business management. He was like, how can I? He was asking questions about management. Somebody commented and was like, that's how you turn soft. I didn't even respond to that comment, but those are the type of, like, that's the type of mindset. And it's like, bro,
And
you got it's I don't know, man. You know, we just thrive on positivity. So it's like
yeah,
the energy just different. So when I hear certain things, I'm like, man, you don't really know like the power of positivity, the power of your mindset, the power of your tongue, things you say. I believe in all of that stuff. You know, law of attraction and
yeah,
speaking things into existence, and that type of energy. It's important, man. If you come to work, let's just say this. Let's say you come to work, right?
yeah,
And you just mad about whatever, something could have happened at home or something, right? And then you come into work and you see your route, and let's say you open your doors up and now you got this pallet that done fell over, right? So now you mad about that too. And it's just negative energy just building up, building up. So now you get to your first customer, guess what? That's gonna carry over into that customer. Now when the customer just asks you something simple, you snapping on this person because now
yeah,
you already upset because of what you brought to the job with you. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you can't be negative all the time and expect that to translate into something positive. And a lot of people don't know how to bottle up their emotions, and they
yeah,
just carry it with them like all the time. And it's like, man, you got to try to change your mindset. You got to try to look at the positive, even in a negative situation. And it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
it's mindset is important, man. You know, we big on
Very.
mindset. We big on mindset.
Yeah, I encourage people as well, man. Stay away from those people at your job because a lot of times those are the coolest people. Let's be honest. But most negative people, man, will stop you from growing.
Absolutely.
You could be the next person in line to move up, and they'll convince you to pass that opportunity up. Why? Because it's something that they wouldn't get, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful of negative people because believe it or not, those are one that'll probably throw you on the bus the first chance they get.
Absolutely.
So, so
100%.
yeah, just stay away from negative people just in life, period. Not just on work, just period.
Yeah,
Like people that always complain about something, stay away because that stuff do get into your spirit, man. They do radiate everywhere you go. So
absolutely.
yeah. So I would say like you don't have to be a manager. I would just say just don't pass up opportunity. Like whether like some companies have what you call route lead, I guess, or something. Where
Mm-hmm.
the person that if somebody don't show up, they kind of take over those routes. Do y'all have that at y'all shop?
Well, they have what's called a extra board. Extra board are just people. It's kind of like how swing man was and our thing.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I mean. Yeah,
so they
yeah,
get called in anytime somebody may call off or they on vacation, or they filling in on routes basically. Extra
yeah.
board.
So that's a form of management, right? Because they trust you enough to be able to handle that. So it ain't for everybody, but like I say, don't always pass up your opportunity because you never know when you're gonna get it. And like kind of look at where we at now, Anthony today. You look when we start off at Barn Hills in restaurants,
Yeah.
like Sean did doing all this stuff and moved all that way up to now. So just
Yeah.
taking that step to move into management has opened our eyes to do multiple things. We in probably 10 different things that we do now. So, you know, why? Because we got into leadership and you get around the right people who
Yeah.
teach you a different way of thinking, how to invest, how to look at finances, how to look at life differently. These are people you're not going to get in front of down here because all they do is complain about how they hate the job and all this other stuff. So
Exactly. Hey,
just moving up.
being in those rooms with that much of experience, and as a manager, it really changed. It definitely changed our mindset and how we think about certain things. Because you're right, we got a lot of knowledge, we got a lot of game from people that have been managers for a long period of time. But the whole
Mhm.
conversation is just different. You know what I'm saying? The conversation is
Yeah,
just different, and you learn a lot. And that's the great thing about you know talking to people, just different people. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And building relationships is like very important, and it could definitely help you grow. And another thing, and we kind of talked about it earlier, but you just never know who you're talking to, what that person can be in the future, how they can impact your life in the future, or even in the short term. So it's just very important, man, to really treat people how you want to be treated, number one. And
hmm
then don't be afraid to talk to people. And I
Hey,
think that's very important, man. What you
that's
think?
how I got the job into Atlanta. We went to one of our sales managers meetings. And now at the time it was Mark Wylam. He was what the vice president of the company.
Like president, yeah.
Me just having a simple conversation on what I want to do in the company and blah blah blah. A week later, they offered me a job to take over Atlanta. One
Mm,
conversation, because that wasn't on the table. Literally, they talked to me about this job on Tuesday. Friday, I was moving here. It was
right.
just like that
I
fast,
remember.
literally.
I remember.
And so that's why I say, like, man, never pass up these opportunities. Just telling people just something like what Anthony's doing now. That is that opens so many doors for him. Just telling people about what he do. Like, just have pride in what you do. Don't do nothing that you don't like doing. Because if you don't, I mean, if you do, you're never gonna grow. And I think it's a point and waste of time just be doing things that you don't enjoy. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And being able to get out of your comfort zone and do things that you not necessarily, that you normally do, I think that can help you in your growing process too. A lot of times we get complacent, we get comfortable because it's safe, right? It's safe and it's comfortable. It's just like entrepreneurs, like during COVID, when I hopefully that don't do anything on my YouTube channel, but during that time, it's like a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of money was made during that time when a lot of the world was shut down. You had people in the inside, they were thinking, right? Ideas. You know what I mean? Think of the ideas like how can I, capitalize off this opportunity and think outside the box. And a lot of millionaires was made during that time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if you're afraid to get out of your comfort zone, then you pretty much gonna be stagnant. You know what I'm saying? In terms of growing, people grow when they get outside their comfort zone and they start doing things that that's challenging for them, right? Getting out of their comfort zone and just doing things differently. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing
yeah,
the same thing over and over and over, then you're gonna get the same results over and over and over. It's not until you challenge yourself and take those risks. That's another thing. People don't take risks. Like the 1%, the wealthiest people in the world, they take risks. And
every
that's
day.
why a lot of them are where they are because they risk takers. You know what I'm saying? At the end of
Yeah.
the day, even if you lose something, you still getting a lesson out of it. So it's not necessarily a loss. You know what I'm saying? You learn
Quick,
something from the risk that you take at the end of the day.
quick question for you. I don't want to stretch it too long for you. I don't know how much time you got. What do you feel like some of your weaknesses were
As a
moving
manager,
up? Yeah,
that's a good question.
yeah,
Um,
because like that way, because so people can see. Like sometimes everybody ain't just. I don't want to say qualified, but everybody have flaws when they move up too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Some people are sharp, but some people have some stuff they had to get together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think for me, probably something that was a learning curve for me was definitely, um, I say, doing the P&L reports and stuff like that, and really trying to dial into the numbers, like really like figure out, okay, how can I grow my sales in this area, or how is this, down like it is, like kind of
Yeah,
like pinpoint the reason to why certain things are happening. So I think for me, one of the learning curves and one of the challenges was the P&L reports, the monthly P&L reports, looking at those and really figuring out, okay, how can we improve the business? How can we save on operating expenses? You know what I mean? Doing
yeah,
this and doing that. So I think that was definitely one of the challenges as a manager.
yeah, man.
Probably the main one for me. Like what's yours?
I had two, and they helped me out until this day because it was necessary. Organization and time management.
That's
I didn't
good.
realize how horrible I was at that until moving up to leadership role. So, like, you got a meeting with this VP for Publix or Walmart on this day, and you got to go over here and you forget about it because you didn't write it down because you think you got everything in your head,
Yeah.
bruh. Or you, like you said, you got your P&L, your weekly notes over here, all on your desk, and you're like, man, I wrote a note somewhere, but I don't remember where it's at. So I learned that organization and time management because, like you said, we on 24-hour calls, so we always moving. So if you're not managing in time,
Yeah.
it's up. But I realize now in my life, not even with entrepreneurship and just relationships, like with people, your significant other, no matter, all this stuff play hand in hand. Because if you organize your time manage,
Yeah.
you get a quality of life now, a
Yeah.
balance. So it all that's why I say leadership goes hand in hand with a lot of stuff if you just, step out and just do it. And you'll
Yeah.
learn a lot about yourself. You know what I'm saying? So
That's true. All right, man. We done been on 55 minutes, almost an
yeah,
hour now, so we gonna wrap this thing up. I think just to wrap it up though, I would say I would just ask you this question and then I'll probably give my 2 cents too. Um, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's interested in moving into a leadership role? What would you tell that person if they say like, hey, I think I want to be a manager? Like, what kind of advice would you give that person?
the first, well, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the only thing I would say to that is, don't wait till the opportunity come. Already be prepared. Meaning, put the steps in now, because like you said earlier, you speak it to existence. It's got to happen. The atmosphere is gonna shift for you, right? So my thing is always be mindful. Somebody's always watching. Whether they say anything, they always watching. So I would say now, if that's your goal in life, or anything that you do, start now. Don't wait till somebody give you opportunity and blah blah blah. Already put yourself in position. That way is an easy transition. So that would be my thing. Don't wait till somebody try to offer it to you and bring it to your attention. Already be the part. Because the men, we always say that you look the part, act the part is gonna come. And
Yeah,
look what happened. Our whole life changed. We used to say that every day. You know what I'm saying? So like even like you saying, your appearance and everything coming to work. People see that when they walk through the door, your shirt clean. You got some people that's all dirty and look nasty, like they just. Well, remember the people who's come to work with the potato chip outfit on, like it was just like they had it balled up in their back seat, just threw it on, came to work. So all that is a reflection of you and your company, whether you think so or not.
exactly.
Everybody looking. They may not tell you directly, but they look it and they see it. Trust me.
100%. 100%.
So I would say start now. Don't wait till the opportunity comes.
Yeah. That made me think about the 5 P's, right? Proper
Yeah.
preparation prevents poor performance, right?
Yep.
If you prepared, you're gonna have a better chance at accomplishing anything you want to accomplish, right? And like you said, if you already ready, you don't have to get ready. So I think that's good advice. I would say if you're a driver and want to get into management, a piece of advice I would say is shadow your manager, man. Stay after work a little bit longer just to see what that person is doing. Like pick their brain. You know what I mean? When you get off work, don't just hop in the car and go. Like have a conversation with him. Like, hey, this is something that I want to pursue in my career. Do you mind like giving me some advice? You know what I mean? I think having that conversation and kind of trying to shadow what that person is doing while you're still a driver can also help you. And it also shows initiative to your manager, like, dang, this person is serious. Like they really want to be in this position. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think that's important. And then, like you said, and I agree with, it's just looking the part and being professional at all times. It doesn't matter what level you're on in terms of your job description. Do that job like you was a manager already if you're not a manager, right? Or have that same pride in your work no matter what your position is, because like we keep saying, people watch, people pay attention, whether you know it or not. People pay attention to you. You know what I mean? Even when you're out there in the field and you're delivering to your customers, right? If you have a bad attitude out there, guess what? The next person that run your route, they gonna hear about it. The customer is gonna tell them like, hey, the other guy that's normally here, that person got an attitude. You know what I mean? That's just
Yep.
that's just how it is. And so have that same type of pride in your work. Have that, attitude and personality. I'm not saying you got to spend 10 minutes talking to every customer, but at least be respectful and don't go in there with attitude and stuff like that, because all of that type of stuff is feedback, and it definitely gets back to management sometimes, right? And you could have a manager run your route one time when you're off on vacation, and they may go to that customer, and that customer they may not even know that's your manager, and they tell the manager like, oh, the other person, where the other person at, where the other driver at, that dude had an attitude, and then they don't even know they talking to your supervisor or your manager. You know what I mean? So it's just important, man, to really carry yourself well and be professional at all times, especially if you work for a company. You should be that way anyway, but especially if you're a company driver, because you're representing that company, you're a reflection of that company. And so it's just very important, man.
Yeah.
You agree?
I agree 100%. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
just don't pass the opportunities. I will just say that. And make sure y'all like my boy Paige, man.
My bad. I had a call coming in. What you said, and I got on do not disturb. I don't know why. That call said. What you just said though?
Hey, no, I was saying I was just agreeing, and I was just telling people make sure they like my boy Paige.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%, man. Appreciate everybody that came in and joined the chat, man. Shout out to Tommy, Christine, J Dog, Terrell. Shout out to all you guys, man. Dirty Broke earlier, Christine earlier, Trucking with KG. Appreciate all y'all for joining the chat, man. Really appreciate it. And look, for the people that did join the chat, because some people watching, they'll be able to watch this on the replay. I appreciate you, bro, for having this conversation with me, taking out time of your day to really be able to, share some information and hopefully be able to add value to somebody that's watching this on a replay or even right now. Hopefully they can get something out of this. That's the whole purpose of my channel, is really just to be able to add some value and provide some information to people that kind of want to do this type of work. And the other things that I talk about as well. You already know we talk about investing, offline and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And fitness is a big part of my life as well. So I talk about various things, but this particular topic in general, hopefully people are able to watch this and get something from this conversation that we have here, man. And like I said, bro, appreciate you for rocking with me today and having this conversation. You got any last words, bro, before we get out of here?
man. Hey, thanks for having me on. And I just want to say, bro, I'm proud of you. You've been my boy for 30 plus years. And I just want to say, bro, I see your growth and you're doing amazing things. I love what you're doing out here, just giving back to the people, something you always done. Hey, it is still kind of funny. You'll say, but hey, little quiet guy now. He's a a big inspiration, man. I just love seeing what you're doing, man. Like, teaching people about investing, believing in themselves, speaking life into people, man. I don't want to say I'm watching you, I'm giving you your flowers here. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro.
Keep going because you're definitely making a difference. I don't know if you know it or not, but you are.
Yeah,
So I just want to say I'm proud of you and just keep up the good work.
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, with that being said, appreciate all you guys for joining today. Look, man, we getting ready to get out of here. Remember, if you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button for me. Like this video and drop a comment if you got a comment. Until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Y'all take care. Peace.